And we are live. Welcome to the Impact Reality XR podcast. My name is Eric, and you may know me from Q2C, VR Gamer, Virtual Strangers, and the VR Crewcast. Welcome, everyone, to episode 5 of the Impact Reality XR podcast. We are a bi-weekly podcast that gives you the inside look at VR, AR, and XR, the industry that it is, and the passionate people that make it all happen. We will normally be going live every 2 weeks when it's at all possible. And while Jasmine and Skiva and I will be your main host, you will see some others from time to time from the Impact Reality team, just tonight. And that is true for today, of course. So let me say hello to two of our amazing team members at Impact Reality, Wes Dillon from Virtual Strangers, PSVR's Gamescast, and the VR Crewcast. What is up, Wes? How you doing, man?
Doing well, man. It feels a little strange being on a Tuesday. This is like I don't know. It's kind of like Monday and Wednesday,
But in the middle.
It's in the middle. Yeah, it's Tuesday.
You should just start doing podcasts every day of the week.
Yeah, tell my wife that.
Oh yeah, it'd be fine. I see no issues with this whatsoever. Oh man, good. I'm glad you're here, Wes. This is your first time joining us on the Impact Reality podcast. So glad to see you here. It's going to be a fun night. And with me as well is another teammate from the Impact Reality team, Elliot Tate from Flat to VR modding group and a B-Saber modding group, and many games that you have helped launch. What is up, Elliot? How you doing today?
Hey, good man. Good to be here.
Yeah, this is not your first time. You've been here before, which is pretty awesome. I'm glad that you had a chance to come back and do this, and this is going to be a fun one to do for us tonight.
Really fun, yeah. Part of what got me into VR in the first place was music, kind of that combination of music and VR. When Beat Saber first came out, I was super into VR, but when that came out, that mix of the power that VR can combine with music completely sold me. Caused me to spend thousands of hours working on like modding Beat Saber and growing that community, which stemmed to other work like starting the Flat to VR, using the modding skills there, and caused me to spend way too much time in the VR community. But it's been a fun journey. So yeah, super excited to chat with Zack in a bit.
Yeah, this is going to be cool. This is episode 5 of us already, which is pretty amazing that we've already hit 5 episodes. And like I said, I think this one is going to be an amazing one because number one, it's a super topical guest to have on because Quest 3 launching last week, lots of MR stuff coming out, and we're going to talk to the founder of one of the best, and let's bring him in now. Let's bring in Zack Reed. What is up, Zack? How you doing? Zack is the founder and lead developer for PianoVision, which is the hugely successful app that has been out for a little while, but really has found its true calling in mixed reality. Zack, how you doing here, man?
And launched officially, right?
Yeah,
so it was
launched.
App Lab, and now
the official store now.
Yeah.
Great, happy to be here. Yeah, having a good week, busy week, but yeah, really exciting time.
Yeah, I can imagine this has got to be just like a super crazy busy time for you. I mean, number one, your game officially launching out of App Lab onto the store, and then launching during that super craziness time, which was the launch of the Quest 3, a mixed reality. And we just want to say thank you for coming here and taking the time out of your day and doing this show tonight to talk to everybody and tell us a little bit about PianoVision and yourself.
For sure. No, excited to be here. Excited to get the message out. Yeah, really exciting time. And I'd like to start engaging with the community a little bit more. And I've been heads down building for the last almost 2 years and trying to, get to see some faces and get to know some people a little bit better.
Yeah. Excited to hear some of those stories of your journey through the heads down period. But tell us what place on the top selling list is PianoVision right now?
Currently 3.
Yeah. What's the first 2? Do you know?
It's Beat Saber, and then there's one I haven't played yet. Something Dungeons.
Oh, is it Dungeons of Eternity?
Yeah,
I think that's
that one's like on fire right now. Everybody wants to play Dungeons of Eternity.
We just hopped over virtual desktop, which was like
that's a tough one to get over, man. Everybody wants, especially with a new headset out.
I know.
Like I can see why virtual desktop is up there, right? Like you have so many new people into VR right now who had no idea what virtual desktop was, but now they have this new headset and they're like, I can't live without virtual desktop.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, congratulations, man. I mean, that's amazing for you to be in this situation. But before we get to the PianoVision and the success you've had so far, let's talk a little bit about you and your path. Like, Have you always been a gamer, number one? And have you always been into music? And how did you end up meshing those two together?
So I've always played some video games. I haven't been like a super hardcore gamer. I was like a really big Super Smash Brothers 64 player. Like I
Yeah.
played that from the moment it came out, like through college, so like through like 2016.
What was your character?
Pikachu. I mean,
Yeah.
he's pretty
Yeah.
OP, but like
Yeah. He is.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I played a bunch of other games. I played the new Smashes. I played a lot of PS4, a bunch of different
Did you
stuff.
play the new BAM? Have you tried that yet? It
No, I
was
haven't
another
tried it
Quest
yet. It
3.
looks
It's like Smash Brothers, but in mixed reality. So you've got the stage kind of in front of you or on your coffee table, and
I gotta try
you're
that out. I
playing.
saw,
Yeah,
saw
it's
some
fun.
videos of it. It looks pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, tell us a little bit about your path. Like, so you were into some gaming, and then how about the music end of it?
Honestly, so I like a lot of the people that I've noticed in our community. I was someone who I studied like a little bit of music. I would take music classes in school, so I came in knowing a little bit of theory. But I'd go and I'd try to learn sheet music, and it was a little bit too much for me. I would try to like learn some songs, so I would memorize songs, and that was fun. But I felt like it was too slow, and I couldn't really express myself very well. Love like listening to music, but I always felt held back from being able to create my own music. I have friends who just jam together, and I sit there and I love it, and I'll see them like riff and play off each other. And it was really exciting, but I always wanted to. I really love the act of creating, so I wanted to feel the music come out of me as well. And so, yeah, up until this, I never really played. I never really felt like the music come out of me. And then it was 2016, maybe 2017. I got a HoloLens, and I was trying it out, and just completely shifted my perspective of everything, what's possible. That was technology I didn't think was going to be available for like years and years. I didn't even know in my lifetime. I mean, I remember, I vividly remember putting the headset on and like seeing a piano and being like, wow, that could just like really bring that alive. There's like, or like a really high bandwidth kind of like cybernetic communication, or like a person and a piano. There's so much going on invisibly between them, between the mind and what the piano can do. And just the thought of what that optimal like visual connection would be between the piano and the human. It kind of just really burned in my head, and I played around with it in the HoloLens, and I tried a couple little projects with it, and the field of view was too small, and it was so expensive. But like from the first moment I put it on, I remember thinking like, okay, I'm gonna return to this for sure. And I'm gonna be able to like teach myself and be able to play at like a super fast rate. So that's kind of how I got into it. With the HoloLens, I did a couple projects. I was working on the Oculus DK1 when that came out. So I've been in this mindset for a while, kind of just waiting for the right time to jump fully in.
Yeah, and then let me ask you a question. So you decided you were going to start, making a piano learning application. Was mixed reality always a kind of like thought for this game, or did you say, look, I'm making a VR game, and then all of a sudden, mixed reality became a thing, and you were like, okay, now I need to swing to mixed reality?
So like I said, so when I tried the HoloLens, from that moment I knew AR, mixed reality, something about the real world and enhancing it. That was what I wanted to do with my life. But at the time there wasn't really a market for it. So I was working as like a software engineer at Cisco, doing kind of boring, big corporate, like cloud computing type stuff, waiting around for augmented reality and mixed reality to become a thing. And I think I don't remember the exact day, but the pass-through API became available on the Quest in the Quest 2. And from that moment, I was like, okay, like there's a real market starting. I know it's black and white, but them putting that out there, they're going to see that when they have, I don't know how many at the time, 10 million headsets getting head-mounted augmented mixed reality capabilities. Like, okay, now's the right time. And so I was working, and then I arranged like some things in my life to be able to do it. So then I quit my job and just started working on it full time.
It's interesting that you had to kind of wait for mixed reality, or at least a decent pass through, to make things kind of take off and work. But it wasn't just that; you needed hand tracking to be good too, right? Like, and hand tracking, did come out, a few years ago, but I don't know if it's ever really been good enough, until recently to be able to, really track and be accurate enough to make something in a rhythm-based game work.
Totally.
Well, that's yeah. One of my questions: did the whole hand tracking, was that kind of a bonus, or was that something from conception that you thought this needs to be a part of it?
So I like always had like MIDI keyboards laying around, and so from the inception, I thought, I kind of just gonna bring this physical object to life. And I start building it out, and I build this infrastructure to take like lots of like any songs in and add a bunch of metadata. And then it was like, oh, I guess we could try without the keyboard too and see how that goes. And hand tracking is always going to get better. So it's like, the original dream is like, okay, how do we take a musician or a budding musician who has this physical piece of equipment and make that interface perfect and amazing? Then it was like, oh, well, like maybe you don't need it. And at this point, definitely it's like, I think it's definitely usable for the right circumstance. And it will probably always be better with a real piano and a real keyboard, but there's so much you can do with a virtual piano.
Mhm.
Whether it's like little mini games, people coming in with the expectations that you can come and jam out to the same complex pieces that you can on a real piano. It's not there yet, and honestly probably won't be for a decent while. But there's a lot you can do. There's like mini games to learn sheet music, like learning pieces. We have like the memory engine in there now that you can like actually just have the keyboard sitting wherever, and you can like learn a full piece that you can kind of like the meta ad that they put out the instrument where she's playing and she ends up being able to memorize. Like I've done it myself. I just sit there without a real keyboard and I memorize it and I go up and I can play it. So yeah, I think it's a really amazing thing. I think
because a big part, like you said, is the memorization, and a big part of me learning guitar was just, even when I wasn't holding a guitar, I was like making those chord shapes and like exercising my fingers and all this stuff that happened not even in front of the instrument. So yeah, that makes sense that so much of that is just learning. Here's what the notes are.
It's a good way for any potential student to kind of get that foundation without having to invest too much, right? There are exercises and things that can be done with the virtual keyboard that not only will allow people to get kind of a base level of understanding of how the course is going to go, but it's going to let people see if this is for them. And then anybody at that point that takes an interest in it and says, all right, this is cool, I think I can do this. It's just a natural progression for them to want to buy a keyboard or a piano at that point to play on, right?
100%.
We should just for the people that are watching that may not know about the app yet, which why don't you know about this app yet? What's the matter with you? But we should play. Let's play the trailer. There's a quick trailer here that I want to play, and maybe it'll give everybody a better idea of exactly what PianoVision is all about. So let's do that. Very nice. Very nice.
Love it.
That's a great little trailer right there.
Thanks. Yeah, that was Tatiana helped us out. It was kind of a last minute thing. I had some emergency travel to India I had to do, and she was busy, but she's stepped in and helped in a bind. It was really nice.
Well, guess who's in chat right now,
Yeah, I
Tatiana?
saw that.
Disco
Yeah,
VR. Good timing. She says, she said, "Yay, the trailer." It was. I think that trailer is a good representation of of the app. I think so. Just to explain to people maybe who haven't played it yet and just saw that. Explain to them. What is the app? What can you do with the app? What are the limitations of it, and where can we go from here?
Yep. So currently the app, it's a mixed reality and virtual reality piano education, piano jamming, just general piano app. I've been working on it for about 2 years. About a year ago, I think, an Australian piano teacher named Benjamin, I don't know if he's here listening, but he's amazing. He came around, and I don't have a huge piano background. I'm familiar enough with like musical theory to be able to, start building one that people start liking, but I definitely am not a piano teacher. And he came in and he brought so much expertise, so much energy into it's funny. So I think we were in the planning stages for the launch in like January or so. And I'm thinking, I don't know, we'll get like maybe 100 pieces, something like that. And he comes in, he's like, no, I want to do 1,000. Let's get 1,000. I was like, do we really need to? Or like, isn't this gonna be a crazy year? And he's like, I want to do it. It's like this is gonna be like my life's work that I teach the students and put that into this digital form that we can massive.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's really incredible. So in the app right now we have 1,000 pieces, 400 exercises and scales with chords exercises. So you can, and it goes from grade 0, which is like super simple, one note at a time each hand for the most part, and it goes up to level 12, which I'm like, I've been playing for 2 years. I don't play it all the time because I'm pretty busy building it, but I'm like a grade like 5 or 6 maybe. I don't know. It would take me years and years to be a level 12.
Wow.
So you really can start from really like the absolute basics and get up to being super, super.
Well, that's because everybody would assume that you're just like an amazing piano player. You made this great app, so we just assume that you would like be like a pro.
I mean, I'm honestly like I would say I've definitely grown a lot. There's a video that I posted. So I posted kind of videos throughout, and on my Twitter, in December of 2021, it was like right when I quit. I worked like crazy for a week and got a working prototype that was functional. You could load songs, you could play, and it would record and it would score. And I put it out, and you can see me playing like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and I'm horrible. I'm like, it's really bad. So I'm pretty with my fingers now. I'm definitely a lot more skilled. But yeah, the piano side, he's like Benjamin is like the piano brain behind it all. He's just it's been really amazing partnership working with him.
So
after Beat Saber came out, we were sure that like the creators were these incredible people at Beat Saber, and then we challenged them to a match, and they were like barely able to do medium. Like yeah. So I was like,
they never put a VR headset. What's the VR headset?
Yeah, they're like, I have no idea how people do these extra pluses.
It reminds me of a scene in Inception where they're looking for a maze designer, and the goal is like design a maze in like 30 seconds that it takes 5 minutes to solve, something along those lines. So
yeah. That's
Wes,
a great movie.
You got some questions from chat?
Yeah. Jay Dunn's in chat. He wants to know. He has a question about potential updates, future updates. He wants to know if there's a possibility that we could ever see the ability for user-created content to be uploaded and shared with others, and maybe even the potential for others to kind of play your songs that you've uploaded.
Yeah. I've thought really, really deeply about that. So public domain music is thankfully piano is like probably the best instrument for having a huge swath of public domain music. Dealing with other music is always tricky. So in the app right now, you can record yourself and you can play something and then you can get a file and you could share that to someone else. We have a Discord community where people have their own MIDI files and they share them around and do it that way. I've thought about doing it. So we have a multiplayer component, and I've thought about, from within the multiplayer, allowing people to share what they have in there. It's just when you're sharing music, it's just you have to be very careful.
Yeah.
So I would say it's extremely important for me, from my side. There's we see it in our Discord all the time. There's a lot of demand for people to play new, exciting music that they find interesting. And I would say it's extremely important for me to find the best user experience for that possible. I'm working and I'm talking with people, like with different groups and like lawyers, about doing licensing and looking into song packs and things like that. So I know people want it. I know people want more like interesting, less like classical content, and it's coming for sure in some way or another. It's definitely
well, the cool thing is that, like you said, there's a means for the players to do this now. It's just not automatic in the app. You'll share it through the community, and each individual can upload it and play it that way. So that's pretty cool.
And it's very easy. Yeah, music score.
That's something I was like really. I tried really hard to make that user experience as friendly as possible. It's still not perfect, but we try to make it as absolutely friendly as possible for people to find something and get it into the app as soon as possible. But yeah, like you were saying, MuseScore has tons and tons and tons of music that communities have uploaded, and I'm working on getting it so all of them work, but pretty much all of them, if you follow our steps, come into the app like pretty much immediately.
Yeah, you said 1,000 songs in the app right now. Like, what type of music is in there? Is it like mainly all classical, or what do we have?
For the most part, honestly, it's the repertoire that Benjamin teaches, and he really is pulling his 30 years of experience of everything he teaches people and putting it into the app. For the most part, it's classical music. There's different like studies that are in there. He's by preference and by like trade, he's a classical pianist. He doesn't do as much jazz, but I want to get a jazz song pack in there because there's a lot of public domain jazz music out there too. So there's definitely more out there to explore, but as of right now, it is mostly classical.
Nice. We did have another question. Overnight Oats, thank you for joining us, says, hello, I bought this. Any plans to add which fingers to use when playing the song on a MIDI keyboard?
Yeah, we have that for in a week or two. We'll have it for every single song, but for right now, we have it for about 80%.
Nice.
They all show exactly what finger to use. So each note coming down has a number. So 1 is thumb, 2 is index, 3 is middle, 4 is ring, and 5 is pinky. And there's a feature coming out. I actually just put it in today. It was there in the app lab, but something happened, so it wasn't there for this one. But where there's little line indicators that go from each finger to the key that you're supposed to play, and animate it so it'll literally like pull your hand in. And that'll all work with everything right out of the box, just with all the music we already have.
Nice.
Cool.
We have
we were talking
last. What's up, Jay?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Elliot.
Yeah. We were talking about the possibility of machine learning. Some pretty cool algorithms to take even your sheet music that doesn't have finger numberings and can really smartly know what
Totally.
finger. So yeah, what other type of things like that are you excited about? Implementing and maybe.
There's so much I'm excited to do. That one's really cool. I waited for the most part. I waited on that one. 1, because it's hard. 2, because kind of as we were discussing, a lot of the algorithms and data sources out there are non-commercial. But now that we have the 1,000 songs and 400 exercises, we have
a perfect data set. Yeah,
it's awesome. It's like super clean, and we just find whatever like the best open algorithm is, and we can train it that way. Yeah, super excited about that one. The thing that I'm honestly most excited about working on in the future of this is like, I view this as like a general interface between a person and a piano. So like, I kind of view within our purview any way that a person would want to interface it with it. Teaching is just sort of it's to me, it's kind of the first step, because there's just a huge funnel of people who feel that piano is not accessible,
Mm-hmm.
and we can just funnel all those people into a more accessible way, and create more piano people, create more people who can express themselves musically. Because like I said, I didn't feel like I could do it before PianoVision, but now I'll go out with friends, and I'll come back and stay home and stay up another like couple hours, just like feeling the music come out of me. It just feels really, really good. So I think like working from the beginners and funneling more people in is a really, really exciting thing. And I think making that accessible and making the beginner stages really accessible is really exciting. And so education, right? Education is the first step for me, I think. With that, especially with the intersection of timelines with AI coming around, there is like so much exciting stuff, even in like the super near term, that I'm really excited about working on. So we have this huge catalog, right? And we have a lot of really, really good data with it. On top of the fingers that we have, every single piece we have is cut up into its logical sections for how you're supposed to study it.
Interesting.
And it's already set up so that I don't want to give everything away or all the spoilers away, but like the way I'm viewing this is like, okay, how do we embed a piano teacher with AI into the app? It's set up for it. It's like there's some things we still need to do, but in the near term, there are some really, really cool features involved with like breaking a song down into its logical components, embedding that piece with intelligence, and then finding the right user experience to have the user consume that intelligence. And it's really set up for it already. So I'm like, that's one thing I'm really, really excited about.
Interesting.
It's got to be a tough thing when you're building the app to make it approachable for people, so where it's not frustrating or not, it doesn't turn people off to where they turn it off, but you need to keep it challenging enough so you feel like you're progressing.
Totally. So VR itself, I feel like the hardest thing is just, it's all a battle against friction. The quests themselves, untethered, thankfully, that removes a ton of the friction. But like so many of my friends, when I ask them to play VR, they're like, "Oh, okay, let me grab it," and it's dead. It's just like such a common thing, and oh, my controller's dead. It's just like, it's a battle against friction. And with an app that is dealing with hardware, that's extra friction. We started with the desktop app where you had to get a connect code, which again, that felt like that was a major insight, not to avoid the word IP address. So everyone would run away, calling it a connect code when it's just part of the IP address.
Is that what it is? Okay.
They're just like really small things that like, you really need to do to fight friction. And that's been the hardest part of the last like 2 years of working on it, is just what are all of the friction points, identifying them, and what is like the optimal way to get rid of it. So yeah, so like plugging right to the headset, for most people, they're like, oh no, the Quest is tethered. Why would I want to tether myself? But it like, when you just have the cable there and you can just go in, that is just probably, I know Bluetooth is good too, but that just plugging it in is just like a really frictionless experience.
Not quite the Matrix plugin, but like, it's closest we can get right now. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because it kind of seems like it's that first step, right? We've always seen these science fiction movies of the past that kind of have people plugging in and getting their education instantly from the technology. And obviously we're not there yet, but essentially that's what this is. We're plugging in to the so-called metaverse, and we're getting education in a new way, which is kind of great, with the state of, kind of analog education these days. As someone who homeschools myself, I love to see stuff like this come along. This is something that we can now integrate into our curriculum here at home, and
I didn't know you homeschooled. I was homeschooled like most of my life. Interesting. We'll have to chat.
Anyway, it's interesting how to see this kind of first step and see the way that the public's really embracing it. It's encouraging, just even as a bystander, it's very encouraging to see how well this is doing so early on.
One thing you mentioned, kind of breaking a song apart. I remember that, especially early on, being the challenge of my always curious, maybe semi-ADD brain, always wanting to like dig into stuff and go so many different directions. And one of the first things that I remember was the first breakthrough in like, oh, that's how you learn, is just how to take something that seems overwhelming and break it in little pieces. And it's like, okay, just take this, learn this. Okay, I understand that. Move to the next one. And that's even to this day, like the first process of how to do that. But and even what I think a good teacher does, but with tech that can do that, I think that completely transforms, bases, like versus here's a book, like learn this whole piece and you just see numbers everywhere and sheet music and annotation and you just get overwhelmed. So yeah,
that's exactly how I feel about it. It's funny, like Benjamin, that's his brain is very structured to break things down that way. Like one of the things, so I mentioned I was just in India, and my wife speaks Telugu, and it's a hard language. It's not on Duolingo. There's really not much coursework for it. So I felt, where do I even start? And I was talking with Benjamin about it because he knows a couple languages. And he was like, yeah, just start with, have a goal for a word count, break it down and just have a number of words and keep track of the number of words that you know. And so I did that, and I got to 100 words and way faster than the five years we'd already been together. And it's just like there's just the small frameworks of breaking it down.
Yeah. You're like, I can do this.
Like really.
That's awesome.
Helps.
Zell2318 said this app has given me the same vibes I got from Rocksmith, and it does feel like that. I mean, I remember Rocksmith and being like this. Rocksmith really felt like the first true way to learn real VR or
gamification guitar.
Real guitar with a game. And this does remind me of that.
Yeah, for sure. Totally. And I remember first playing Rocksmith because I have a history of, I did Fine Arts Center with guitar and jazz guitar, and but anyway, when I played that, I was like, this is the first, like you said, the first real actual learning. It's not Rock Band or something that's just notes, but these are truly learning a song, and it has all the tools to do that. But I was like, how could this translate to piano? There's some things like synesthesia, I think it's called, and some other things. I was like, well, maybe if you had a screen that was the width of 88 keys and lined it up, maybe you could kind of do it. But yeah, I remember thinking, like, how could you possibly get this experience that you can get easier on a fretboard, but for something that massive? And here you go. Like, it makes so much sense when you see it. You're like, oh yeah, this is it. This is what I was thinking about. So yeah, very cool.
I think one of the interesting things about at least this particular problem, it kind of comes up a little bit, is like, so kind of like what you were saying, Wes, is, how do you plug it in and just know something? And I think so with like Guitar Hero and Rocksmith, and I mean with PianoVision, for some people, it's like the question is, okay, you see these visual cues and you play it in real time and you take it out, and what do you do? Are you able to completely get back to where you were? I think that question, that's something it's definitely one of the biggest questions for PianoVision, and I'm like furiously interested in figuring that out from a couple of different angles. So one angle from the AR VR optimist is like, it doesn't matter eventually. Like in the long run, I think if we're believing that we're going to get visual aid from everything, then in that case it doesn't matter. But today it does matter. That's not today. That's why we built tools into it, like the learning engine and the memory engine, to really try to imprint it into your brain. But I find it like a really, really interesting question, like in the matrix sense of like, okay, you put the headset on, how do we minimize that time that it takes to get it completely into your brain? And a lot of like the ways that I've been designing the app is trying to like minimize that time so that you can put the headset on, take it off, and boom, it's in your hands, it's in your mind, and you're ready to go. There's still a lot more to do, but like I'm very, very focused on like solving that particular problem.
I love to hear that. Zach, do you feel that the Meta's commercial that they ran during Meta Connect, when they announced the Quest 3, they ran this amazingly heartfelt commercial with a young girl learning to play piano in PianoVision on the Quest 3 to be able to play piano with her grandmother, who tried to teach her piano at a young age, and it didn't happen or didn't work in some way. Do you think that is an accurate representation of the app and where you can take it?
I do. I think I definitely 100% do. Like, I've personally played with the virtual piano, and I've like imprinted songs into my head. The most of the time when I play, so there's a couple of different like ways that you can approach the app. The one that I personally use it for when I'm playing is I like playing way outside my normal range that I could play without it. I definitely cannot read sheet music nearly to the ability that I can read the falling notes. I think if you're pushing yourself really, really far outside your normal range, it's going to be hard to imprint because you're focused on having your hands do way more. But if you want to learn something and you're really focused on memorizing it, we 100% have the tools, even without a real physical keyboard, to memorize songs. Now, there's a complexity that hand tracking cannot currently handle. Like, if I'm completely honest about it. If you are trying to play with like more than 3 fingers, it's not ready for it. Even with the depth sensor, there's a certain hand motion where, like, if you're looking down and your ring finger is making like slight motions, it doesn't pick it up at all. So anything that involves that, it's not ready for it. But there's, like, in the app right now, we have, and these are mostly beginner, but we have 100 level 0 songs, and every single one of them was designed from the ground up with the principles of how the virtual piano works. All of those work really well. I'm going to start putting out some more videos, because I think maybe there's some expectations that people have of what it can do, and maybe that there's ways that little tips like lighting, like how you should have your hands set up, how you should move your hands to get it to work well. Because honestly, I don't think there's a single level 0 song that I can't play like super fluently. So it's completely capable of quite a bit, and we've tried to make the app full enough in its own capabilities to provide a really good experience.
What did you do? It seems like you did some tricks to, I guess, when you're playing the level 0 songs, it ignores notes that it shouldn't, but like knows, okay, you're actually kind of going for this. So it seems like it's doing some smart things with kind of seeing what you're trying to get to.
That was when I was first playing around with it, I saw it was the hand tracking on the Quest 2, and I was like trying to see how well I could play. The ground principle for what I needed to find for a proof of concept to see if it was going to be a viable feature in the app was like, can we make someone feel musical? Can we make it sound good? Can we make it sound nice and pleasant so that it feels like the music's coming out of them? And it's a really simple thing, but it took me like a couple weeks to figure it out. It's just like, don't let the user, when you're playing a song, don't let the user play notes that aren't currently there, or don't let them
right.
Because it sounds terrible. And would it be more accurate in terms of like, are they actually hitting these notes? Yeah, it'd be more accurate, but no one would. People would do it once and then they'd walk away.
Is that a toggleable feature for someone? Like, if they want to know how they're actually doing versus, the auto assist or whatever it's called, is that something that can be toggled on and off?
Not right now. It's like, but
it's just hand tracking too, so it's not.
Oh yeah, that's
the main piano. So
if you're playing on a real keyboard, a real piano, like for sure, it'll know if you're hitting the right ones. The air piano, like, the thing is, it's truly not accurate enough to not hit other keys at least slightly. Like, the absolute precision isn't good enough to be that precise to not brush up against another key. But if you're in freestyle, I mean, honestly, if people want to see exactly how good the hand tracking is, the freestyle, you can try, and you'll see that it's not super accurate. There's some funny TikToks going around that, and funny enough works for this, where they're playing, like, was it Runaway by Kanye, where they're hitting the and then, I mean, the freestyle with the virtual piano is like fun and funny for that. But you're not, like I said before, you're not going to be able to do something really, really crazy. I mean, unless we figure something out, I don't know. Meta did something really cool with the typing keyboard where they used a bunch of AI.
Yeah, that looks really interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think,
But I'm sure that's making guesses too and assumptions and
right.
you know,
Apple Vision Pro is going to fix all of this. It's going to fix it all, Zack.
Is it though?
I think it is. I think it is.
No, I mean, but we've seen how much it's gotten better. I mean, this you talk about hand tracking in general. I mean, how long's that even been around? A year and a half, and it's already so much better than it was when it launched. Even on Quest 2, it's way better than it was. So I got to imagine we're going to see a similar arc on Quest 3, and it may even accelerate even more quickly. And again, it's just going to get better and better over the next 6 months, a year, 18 months. So
Yeah.
Do you have what kind of control with the Meta hand tracking API do you have to kind of tweak it beyond what they've built in its abilities?
So the way, like, I'm not gonna ever give. So I could maybe do some sort of like motion prediction that incorporates what a normal pianist is gonna, the way that they move. But in terms of like the raw prediction of the joints, the joint positions and rotations, Meta's always going to keep improving that.
Yeah.
That's always going to be like way better. So that's one thing where I'm like, I will never touch that. I don't want to, and I don't want to necessarily like tune a model that's based on V2.1 when V3 completely changes it.
Yeah.
So I think about it and working based off of, okay, this is the most accurate position information I could possibly ever get given this hardware in this moment. And so I make some assumptions about where your finger most likely is. And I have like colliders, and they're different for each finger based on the accuracy of the finger information at that time. The goal of the virtual piano really is to like have you get the hand motions down, have you memorize the notes, and let you experience the learning and playing the song within the bounds that we have.
So we've talked a lot about the virtual piano, and let's talk about, because you can use this with a mini keyboard or a regular piano, right? So what's the upgrade?
Which is like,
so
do you
that's
recommend
the
it?
recommended way. So what's the upgrade? Like, what's the experience then if you can do that? And like, what kind of keyboard are we talking about here? Like, what's the minimum we could do, and what's like the maximum we could do?
The upgrade is like, it's hard to express how big it is. Like, it is. I'm extremely biased, but to me, it's the most magical like experience on the Quest. Like, I play some other games. I used to be a huge Beat Saber guy. I really love like Super Hot. I got really into Population 1 for a bit, but I honestly, I'm mostly playing PianoVision myself when I'm even just relaxing. Because the MIDI keyboard experience is just really, really amazing. And it's cool too that I have Benjamin to create the music, and it's such a humongous catalog. So I'll go in there all the time, and I'll just hit shuffle. And even though I play all the time, like I play something new every day. That's really cool to encounter. And because it's MIDI is. It's not zero latency, but it's really, really, really minimal latency. So it's like I personally never feel any lag, and the amount that you can do when you know that there's nearly zero latency is just really, really cool. You can like do a lot of really complex scoring. We have like the learning engine thing that like really takes all of your performance data and optimizes it to help you learn it as fast as possible. That's the experience. The virtual piano is a great introduction, I think, but the MIDI keyboard is where it's at. You got something else? I kind of forgot the second question.
Yeah, and just like how would it matter what type of keyboard? Like
Oh yeah, that's right. So I recommend it really depends on your budget. So I have a 25 key keyboard if I want to just mess around, if I want to be a little bit mobile. I have an 88 key folding game controller. Basically, it has like buttons basically, and that works really well too if you're just looking for like a gamified version. We work with anything MIDI, any MIDI capable keyboard works really, really well. We work without MIDI, but you just don't get the performance data. And MIDI is a super, super accessible standard, so I don't know what percentage, but a huge percentage of keyboards that are out there also.
I was just thinking about like one of those
Yeah.
rolled keyboards, those like flat. If you've seen those, right? They're just like a.
I don't think so,
It's just like
actually.
it's just like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
flat. It's just like a pad, and it's an actual keyboard. They roll right
Oh,
up. I was just wondering if
yeah,
that
no,
would work.
yeah,
I mean,
the
you
one with
wouldn't
the
get
sure.
the feedback of actually pushing a key down, but you know they make noise, they make sound just like a keyboard and everything.
I've seen rolling keyboards like that completely roll
Yeah.
up, and a lot of them are MIDI actually, so those would totally work.
No, that's super cool. There's a lot of options
Yeah.
out there for people. So if they're, if they really want to have the best experience they can have for, pretty inexpensive, they can go do something and like really, really get the full idea of the app that way.
Totally. Yeah. Even like, so for someone who's just wants to really have the like the smallest next experience into it, it's like $80 or $90, 88 keys, so you can play every song in our catalog, and it's super portable. And so like across the board there, it's a really, really, really good intro into the app. And I take it for travel too. It's really nice. It just fits in my backpack. It's the full experience of PianoVision all in a backpack.
I want to play a
It's cool.
guitar. Can I do this on a guitar? Like flock of seagulls. Come on, let's go. We can do this.
I've been looking into something that's also just really fun and exciting is because it's MIDI based, and it's like abstract enough to kind of take any MIDI instrument. It needs, obviously each instrument would need its own visuals, but there's a lot of interesting, wacky, different instruments you can do. Like there's some really nice. I don't think very many people have them, but there's wind controller MIDI instruments you can get that can do like flutes and saxophones and trumpets and stuff. And one day that'd be really cool. I really want to buy one and just like see the most that we could do and see if it's a really cool experience. I don't think the market's there for it, but it just at least would be a really fun experiment.
Yeah, I think that would be an absolute blast. You know what would be cool too is, have you ever thought about like opening up the mic on the Quest and like you can sing along to it in some way?
Yeah. I think
you could probably do that right now. It's a question of latency, right? Like you could do that through just the Quest recording function. The question is will it be in sync? And if it weren't, I mean, those of us who have a PC could kind of work it out, right? And put it in sync. But yeah, I was wondering that myself earlier. Like, obviously we're stuck on classical music right now, but once we get to the point where people have their own physical keyboard, they can go in the freestyle mode and you can start playing Beth or, whatever, and singing while you do it and make some awesome recordings. And, that would be great stuff to share through social media or on YouTube or, with your friends and family.
I want to sing Beth now on the keyboard.
Yeah.
I want to do that. Does anybody know what that? Do you guys know what Beth is?
Definitely not.
Anybody know what Beth is? Beth from Kiss. Kiss? What? No.
It's Kiss. Come on, people.
All right, go look up Beth from Kiss.
Shelter.
It's a beautiful piano song.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
But
I like people in the Discord were playing Dr. Dre. Like the list
I know. Me and Wes are old men talking about Kiss. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think it's within the purview. I think like MIDI, probably MIDI capable, or MIDI even like guitar doesn't really have MIDI. There's some funky ones.
There's some MIDI guitars. There's also a MIDI pickup you can get, but
we don't have them. That's the problem. It would be our job to convince people to get them, and
there's a really good program that is all through software though, so it's a full like MIDI guitar through software. So maybe you can run that through and do it that way. I don't know, but
I think I view it in the purview. I think, like I said, I think instruction makes a lot of sense from a business perspective because tons of people, pay for piano instruction and people all want to learn. So the more we can like embed a piano teacher into the headset, and just I feel romantic about the idea of just having this headset be this portable, accessible education downloader into your brain.
At a fraction of the cost too. Like, I think one of my friends spends like $150 a half an hour.
It's nuts.
Piano lessons.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Insane.
So yeah, a couple lessons and you bought a Quest already. So yeah,
well, I know that they talk about teaching in virtual reality all the time, and number one, not just virtual reality, gamifying lessons or learning can absolutely help you, keep you involved and keep you active and motivated to do these things. But then you add in virtual reality or augmented reality into that or mixed reality into that, and I think then it adds. They say you can learn 30% faster in virtual reality than you can, just in real life. So looking forward to seeing what I can do here. I'm gonna go play Europe. Final countdown.
I wonder where that
Anybody?
stat
No?
came from, because I'm sure
Well,
there's
look, I mean,
such a range.
at
but
the
yeah.
very least, I mean, all the cool tricks from the technology aside, if you're trying to teach someone, especially a young person, half the battle is keeping their attention from wandering over there to the television or out the window. When you're putting on a VR headset, you're essentially putting a blindfold on them. Now obviously pass through kind of negates some of that, but just the kind of wow and coolness factor of it's going to do a much better job of keeping someone's attention and keeping them engaged versus your standard tools for learning, right? So at least for now, while this technology is new and it has that wow factor, it has the potential to be very, very effective in this respect.
I can see the eye tracking, like, stop, you're not paying attention. Like, look at it. Stop looking
Oh my
away.
God, that's coming.
Yeah.
And like if
That's
there's
scary.
a chorus where we're like, okay, you got to get off the falling notes, you got to learn sheet music. We just see it go down. No,
No, stop cheating. Stop cheating.
Oh, I love it. Then that's gonna
Yeah.
be like the old piano teacher who's like gonna snap your knuckles because you.
No. Back, it was on my 386 SX computer. It was a MIDI keyboard. It was a program called Miracle Piano, and I think that was like one of the first teaching programs. But I actually had a duck hunt game where the ducks would fly and they'd have like the E, A, D, and you could shoot them by hitting like the right
Cool.
things. So I was like teaching what notes to do. So that's what I want. I want PianoVision.
Like that sounds really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to bring it back. Duck hunt.
Yeah, I think like gamifying that core learning experience is like that's super, super important.
We're gonna have zombies. We're gonna have zombies in PianoVision within a month.
I mean, we've had this.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
what was the game? The Sega game was Typing of the Dead. Remember that? That's
Yeah,
what taught
Typing of
people
the
how to
Dead.
type on a keyboard.
So there totally could be it was Sega. Was it Sega's? Yeah.
You had to like type.
Where
You had to
it
type
taught-
letters on the
Like
keyboard.
like a regular keyboard.
Yeah, like just a regular keyboard to type, words.
Like the zombies would start getting you. You'd have to go faster.
It taught people how to type really fast. You know what I mean? Because that's what it was all based on. It was pretty. It was pretty cool. Somebody in chat had asked the question, Virtual Steve, are there gamified mini games in PianoVision? Like what?
No, it's not yet.
Maybe that's what I was asking.
Yeah, that's very, very on topic here. Not yet. There's one because I really want to make I've said before, the virtual keyboard can be super, super helpful in a lot of different ways. I think gamifying it with that would be really, really nice. It's not, like I said, like, you can't really use all of your fingers at once, but you can still like train sheet music and doing some of the things like duck hunt where you have to find the note. That's super, super doable. And if we make that really, really fun, then that's a huge use for it. So not yet, but I have it on the near-term agenda for sure. To at least start that.
I love it. I love the idea that you're not done with it. So I mean, that's great. So anybody out there who's thinking about buying the app or has already bought the app, I mean, tell us a little bit about things, or you have a roadmap, you have things that you want to do, and like what can they maybe expect in the next 6 or 8 months?
6 to 8 months. I'm working on getting licensed music.
Nice.
That is challenging, but I'm pretty committed to that. New features around AI and sort of intelligence and baking that into the app.
Nice.
There will definitely be a start to that. I've done some experiments already where it's actually built into the app. If you type a certain room code into multiplayer, you can kind of unlock it. It's just like a little cheat code. But there's a teacher, so it's an avatar you can talk to, and you can ask it questions with your voice, and it will respond as a piano teacher using like ChatGPT in the back end. And I think making that user experience amazing and embedding that with the most intelligence possible would be really, really amazing. It's just all about like finding something. So I think the core loop of the app's really fun, where people are like, oh my God, I can play. But it's like, how do you have that same attention draw into communicating like the intelligence, like from with an AI or some, you know, embodied intelligence into you. So it's a UX problem right now. Like from a technical perspective, we can definitely do all of it. It's just figuring out that like that thing that'll click and resonate with people.
It's very cool to see where this app is now, and then where it might be a year from now with, you know, increased, you know, hand tracking or better hand tracking, and then whatever else you're thinking of adding to this, you know, this application. And you know, we believe that the pass through will get better and get clearer and get, you know, there's a lot of places that this can go. And I think, you know, the idea of mixed reality and being able to do, you know, learning applications that are fun in mixed reality is a huge thing that we just haven't had. And that's why you know, I think it's kind of blown up right now. Like, I think right now we are seeing more mixed reality pass through hype than I thought we even, you know, even we thought we would see. Like, a lot of people thought it's going to be a gimmick and people are going to think it's a gimmick and not care. And I don't think that's been the case. I think people do care about mixed reality. You know, all these people that have not had a chance to try it, that are going from the Quest 2, or they're getting a new headset for the first time, are experiencing things that maybe they never thought they could ever experience before in their life. So this is pretty cool.
Totally. I think if we trust that the hardware is going to get there, the software is clearly going to go really, really far. But if we trust that the hardware is going to get there, and enough of these companies show us that the roadmap's there for these really, really amazing experiences, and they show us that they're going to build hardware good enough to get like high retention from a bunch of users, it's just a matter of time. It really is. I mean, we're seeing on like TikTok and Twitter lots of videos around of just people like cooking and things like that.
Yep.
And that's just like, that's so obviously, like, it's so much obviously better. Like, so you don't have to, you're cutting chicken and you don't have to touch your phone or scroll through a cookbook. Like, it's just so much obviously such a better way to do it.
And that's just how it is today. I mean, you're talking about implementing AI into your music program here. Imagine implementing AI into your cooking program, so that now cooking in real life is like cooking in a video game, and you can look over at your pan and there's a visual indicator there telling you when you need to turn your steak over to get that perfect medium cook, right? Like,
you're burning it. Stop it.
You're ruining it.
Flip the damn thing.
Exactly. But we're not far from that. Like that's going to happen in the next couple of years. And that's just incredible.
The thing is, like,
about.
At least from the application perspective, the software side of that is really not that hard. It's really not. It's just whether or not the hardware manufacturers give us enough financial incentive to build the right apps. And because if it's going to end up like some of the earlier Quests where they're amazing and people get these really great experiences, but it just ends up catching dust, it's like they're like people aren't going to want to they're not going to build experiences for that. But I think with the Quest 3, I think the mixed reality people, there's people with the technical eye to look for all the things are going to find them, and they're the I don't know the technical, but like the fishiness or the swimminess that you see when your hands are close. Like, that's hard, but at least for me personally, I wear it every day, and I have conversations with people in my house. I sometimes forget it's on. I think it's a huge leap forward, and I think if they just keep pushing these experiences, you're going to see tons of weird things you don't expect, like the cooking videos to pop up. Like, the software is really not. It's really not that hard. It's just whether or not there's the right hardware and the right incentive to build the applications.
I love it. I love where it's all going, and I'm glad that mixed reality has become a thing, and I'm glad we have this app, man. I'm glad, and congratulations on the success of it. I mean, it's really great to see a non-game, a this is a learning app that you can have a blast in, but it's still a learning app. It's nice to see that on the top of the selling charts, and not some zombie game that that every other person makes. You know what I mean? It's cool.
Yeah, we love those too, but like that's the big thing. Like, I think VR has so much power in education, and so we've talked about it for so many years. But then it's like, other than the it looks like we're in Egypt or something like that, where you can kind of sightsee and stuff like that. We just haven't seen, or some of the stuff in like very niche fields like medical training or how to assemble stuff. We see kind of stuff like that, but this is like an everyday thing that I mean, I think everyone should learn an instrument. I think it's just like so helpful. It helped me get through college learning music. For me, like how to pour passion into something that's very hard to do, but it's so rewarding at the same time. And it kind of taught me like what working hard, how satisfying that can be, and really taught me how to work. So yeah, I recommend anyone learn an instrument, learn piano, get PianoVision.
I love it. I have a 9-year-old
Yeah.
daughter, and maybe a year ago, a little over a year ago, we tried to do lessons. And she enjoyed it, and it was actually right. It was right in the middle of COVID too. I remember, because that's why we stopped. But she enjoyed it, but it wasn't, it wasn't enough, I don't think, to keep her, hooked. And now I absolutely gonna keep her. She loves being in virtual reality, and mixed reality has blown her away. So I guarantee I'll have her in there a ton playing, and I can't wait.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's really
yeah.
So if you had this magic wand that could just make any like crazy feature idea come like right now, one feature come to PianoVision.
One feature.
It could be
just a magic wand. Could be
crazy.
outlandish.
Well,
there's a lot, man. I think if I had a magic wand, or if I had maybe one wish, it would be
one wish. You can't wish for more wishes.
It would be, honestly, it'd be a UX thing. It would be like, what is the user experience like that gamers and VR users most respond to want to keep doing it more. That's why the following notes work. I think it's like it captures a lot of people, but so much of my time is spent just it feels like a path of discovery of what are the right things that stick the most. There's a lot of features that are cool, that are technical, that like auto.
I feel like that was like Solomon wishing for wisdom.
What's that?
That was a good answer. I feel like that was like Solomon wishing for wisdom. That was a good answer. Yeah,
show me the way.
It's just like how to make people fall in, like stay in it more, retention,
for sure.
And really.
I'm sticking around with PianoVision. I really am. It's a long journey, and I so much see what it can be like 10, 20 years from now. It's going to be amazing, and it's just figuring out the optimal path there. I want to search.
Love it.
Awesome.
Love it. Cool. Zach, thank you for being here, man. This is it's been great to learn a little bit about the path of you and PianoVision, and kind of seeing the future of where it's going to go. So we appreciate you taking time out in a super busy time, when I know you're trying to keep ahead of everything right now. And congratulations on the success of the app, and we're looking forward to seeing what we can do, what we see, in the next 6 months or even a year from now.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. It was great talking to you guys. First podcast,
really
I had a really good.
You did very, very good.
Thanks.
It was Wes's first podcast too. He's all right. He did okay.
Yeah, it's my first one today, actually.
All right, guys. Well, that was episode. Actually, I was saying 5, but of course, Jasmine has to remind me it's episode 6. It's episode 6. Sorry, episode 6 of Impact Reality Podcast. We appreciate you all for being here and watching. And then for Zach from PianoVision, Elliot Tate from Impact Reality, and Wes Dillon from Impact Reality, Virtual Strangers, VR Crewcast, and PSVR Without Parole and Gamescast. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.